Welcome to the New Horror Boys podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a link between mental illness and paranormal activity. I'm going to start us off with the Philip experiment, which is it was a experiment by Canadian researchers where they created a fictional character, Philip Aylesbury. He lived in the 1600s. He was born in 1624, and he died in 1659. And through suicide. So I'm gonna give you guys a rundown a little bit about this experiment. It was just a bunch of researchers that came together and like, if we can create a fictional character, can we create or manifest some kind of ghost or spiritual entity of some kind? And according to the results, I'm gonna say they did. But I'm gonna give you a little rundown. So they had a bunch of people come in, and they gave his backstory. Of course, I told you when he was born. So according to the story, he was married to this woman named Deborah, unhappily. But now let me give you a little bit about his earlier life, so I can give you a little key more details. He fought in the English Civil War. He was knighted at 16. He was friends with Charles II. They gave him like a whole historical backstory. And this is him being a fictional character and all that. So the way he died of suicide is because he was in an unhappy marriage with some lady named Deborah, and he fell in love with this Romani girl, and his wife got her killed, tortured, and all that by saying she was a witch. And if you know anything about the Romani, they've been harassed throughout history. Like they are like one of the groups of people who historically
Romani, like Romanian.
Yeah, like the Romani, like they called them gypsies, but apparently that's pejorative. Yeah, so...
Okay, so real quick recap. This is a fake character created by... Were they scientists? Or
they were researchers and scientists. So they had a psychologist, a mathematical geneticist, and a couple other people. I forget what they were. So they created a fictional character to see if they can create their own spiritual entity or whatever, or if people would just perceive one. And so they gave him a whole backstory and all that. So after his wife got his true love killed, he committed suicide because he was so depressed and distraught. So that's how that works. So they basically brought in a bunch of people and they gave him the whole backstory, and they heard things from like scratching and knocking, because they would do a seance, and they would people would flicker the lights and whatnot so they can get the people into the move this shit's really going. Sorry, this stuff is really going down. They basically just played a trick on them, and they started hearing things. So they heard the knocking, they heard echoes, they heard a lot of things when they were doing the seance, and people were reporting things like a window, a table tilting, the table lifting, and this and that. I think it's just what was the term? Paranormal subjective experience. Wait, no. Subjective paranormal experience psychosis. If you believe in something or you want to believe in something, your brain has enough power to make you perceive something just to validate your reality in a sense.
Yeah, manifestation basically.
Yeah, kind of. But it's a pretty interesting thing because this character was made up, and it reported like poltergeist-like activity. So did they just get another poltergeist in? That's what really happened, or were people just just imagining this stuff and they all just kind of felt it and kind of went with it all together? Because mass hysteria is not an uncommon thing. I'm gonna give one example. So October 1st in Vegas.
Yeah, October 1.
Yeah, you remember that? So I was working on the strip. I was working at that one spot. What's it called? Hop. And this guy came to my spot of work, and he's all like, "You got to get out of here. There's a madman on the street, and he's I'll say unaliving people, and he's headed this way." And I'm like, "Okay, dude." And my car was the other way where he came from. So I just kind of I'm like, well, all right, my boss just called me, told me to pack up. So I packed everything up. And of course, I'm going to be careful. So, I was looking through the corner, seeing if I see anybody. It was a ghost town down the strip. So I'm walking up the street, and I had to go all the way to the Miracle Mile just to get to my car, because that's where I parked. And dude, everything was just it was crazy. It was shut down. Everything was closed. Yeah, I didn't see anybody there. And then when I saw the reports, I'm like, why were all these reports going on about these people and this and that? Like everybody ran like, what was it, north on the strip? Who was on the strip. So, but yeah, when I went out there, like on the strip, it was like a ghost town. There was nobody there. I didn't hear anything. There was no, can I say pew pew fire then? Is that what I got to say?
Yeah, pew pew.
Yeah, there was, I heard no pew pews go off. And, yeah, I think it was just, I think that was like another thing of psychosis. Like, believe it to save your own life. You'd rather be safe than sorry. So I think that's how they kind of justified it themselves. Cause that's not where the pew pews went off. It all went down on, Mandalay Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's what that was. And I think that's kind of what this experiment is about too. Kind of like you want to believe something or you want to self-preserve your ideas or your life, and your mind kind of creates things to justify it. Yeah, sorry, this one was really short, but that's kind of what I assume happened in this research, but I could be wrong, and they really created a poltergeist, which is pretty crazy if that's true.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
you're doing a seance.
Yeah.
Did they get any were they doing like a Ouija board and he said anything that they made him say?
So there was there was like knocking, so 1 for yes, 2 for no. Stuff like that, and people were hearing responses and this and that. So,
but you also hear about certain entities taking on whatever name of that person is just to mess with people.
Oh yeah, like Zozo,
just to mess with them. When people say, "Oh, Irma, my dead wife," and then they go, "Give me the knocks for this." It's not really them, but they're still giving them that information. And for some reason, it seems like these entities know about these stories anyway in advance. They know about every other person before, that passed away, and they can still tap into it. So that's a tough one, It's like you never know.
You never know. Like Zozo is one of the main ones. Like they did the pencil and the Charlie thing, and then they had another one. Who was the guy? Pazuzu from The Exorcist. Like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really know, but is it the mind playing tricks on them, or is it something else pretending to be Philip Aylesbury in this case?
They'll always take like the form of something familiar to you, so you'll talk to it or do what it wants. Like that's why, like, if you ever in the dream you see like a loved one and they're like, they don't seem like themselves, dude. Just get out of that dream now. Leave. It's not him. It's Pazuzu.
Unless it's my grandmother in the dream, then it's really her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, what's a good one? If you ever see like a dead relative in your dream, ask it for a family recipe that's long gone. Be like, yo, so not Pazuzu, can I have that Pozzola recipe?
So not Pazuzu.
They're like, yeah. And then you wake up and you check it. It's like the first one that comes up on Google. Yeah, not your grandma, pal. Yeah. Not your grandma, not Grandma Jenkins. But yeah.
You don't know this, but Pazuzu has access to the internet.
Especially foodnetwork.com.
They start adding beets to my pozzola, dude. I'm gonna be mad.
Ooh, they gave you the human meat pozzola recipe.
That's what actually that reminded me of when you said get the recipe for it. Oh man, because my grandmother that passed away a few years ago, she had the best pozole, and I don't have the recipe for that.
If Pazuzu comes into your dreams, get that recipe.
Get that recipe, dude.
That recipe, bro.
Oh man, I miss it.
She was using human meat. Or dog.
Or what?
Is that what happened to Lexi?
Lexi, no!
She was a good girl.
That's funny.
You saw the way his eyes lit up, man. We're onto something.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes my story.
All right. Scientist monster, man.
That was kind of good. That ended up being better than we thought it was going to be. We thought you were saying it wasn't going to be too interesting, but
I did what I could with what I had.
Oh, wasn't bad.
It's the key to life, bro.
Mine is not about paranormal. Well, it is, but it doesn't end up being like about the paranormal. Mine is the mental illness versus like, is it sleep deprivation? Mine is the smiling man. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of the smiling man?
You've mentioned it today, and that's about it.
Yeah, same.
I've heard stories about it, but
when I looked it up, but
yeah, I don't know anything about it. So
they have different stories and different versions of it.
Yeah,
because apparently, I guess multiple people have seen this, but the story I went with was about a guy named Woodrow Derenberger, And I guess he was a sewing machine salesman in West Virginia. And then he went back home to Ohio, where he continued doing his work and all that. And so this guy would work during the day, go home and relax, but he couldn't sleep at night. So he would go out on the streets in Ohio. Actually, this city was Marietta, Ohio. And he would go out at night, late at night, when there wasn't many people out or any cars. Mm-hmm. And he would always walk through the park, and he would always do his same walk. He would walk around the park, through the city, a couple of residential neighborhoods, and then go back home. There was never an issue. And then all of a sudden, one day, he goes out, and I should let you guys know, too, that it's dark out. It's like almost pitch black where he's at. Not many lamps or lights or anything. And one night, he's walking, and he's down an alley this time on his way back, and he sees what he thought to be like police sirens maybe. And at first, it was flashing different colors, and then it ended up just being a bright light, and he thought it was some kind of aircraft coming down. But when he actually walked a little closer and he looked at it, it ended up being an arm holding like a lamp. And eventually that lamp kind of moved, and it started showing what it was. And it was this guy who just had the hugest grin on his face, like he couldn't stop smiling. So he thought that was weird. He was like, okay, I don't know what the hell this is, but it freaked him out. So he starts walking away, and he notices that every time he walks and moves, this thing does a weird, creepy like way of moving towards him, but it keeps moving every time he moves. And it's almost as if one step for him was like 2 steps for the smiling man. So he was getting closer and closer. So he thought he would outsmart it by turning an alley like and cutting a corner. But then when he got down further, it was on the next street already, walking up at him again. So he finally is in so much fear that he stops and he's just staring at it. And he kind of walks towards it, so it starts slowly walking towards him. And then it starts doing this weird like dance. And then it starts like crackling up, like laughing. And so the guy is like, screw this, I'm out of here. So he turns around and starts bolting. He runs away, and he looks behind him, and that thing is like booking it at him with the lamp and everything. Well, he finally turns the corner, gets home, and he calls the cops. And come to find out that the cops had never heard of him. I should have mentioned, too, that he asked, when he got close enough to the thing, he asked it, what is your name? And he said his name was Cold. So they dubbed him, his name is Indrid Cold. But he ended up calling the cops, nothing showed up. So my thing about it was it mental illness that kept him, thinking that he saw this thing, or was it sleep deprivation? Because he couldn't sleep at night.
Cause of mental illness.
Right.
There's definitely a short horror film on YouTube about like exactly like this. I think it's called The Jester. But I wonder if they use this case.
The Jester is like, he's a magician. So he comes up to you, but he does tricks and stuff. He tries not to spook you.
You seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a good one.
Well,
but it's similar to that.
It's just a guy walking down the street, and there's like a guy just like, he just keeps, it might be, I don't know. But yeah.
No, it's similar except for, he does magic tricks and stuff in front of that person, yeah.
Yeah,
but it's very similar.
Dream. That's the thing when you don't sleep for too long, your reality and illusion just blend into each other.
That's for sure.
One more thing before I'm all over with it. Apparently this character they say he's related to the Mothman prophecies, which I thought was insane because you're when we did the cryptids, yours was the Mothman, which I'm surprised that the Smiling Man didn't come up at all,
Oh, yeah, I wonder how it ties into that. I mean, I know the Mothman Prophecies is a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much it ties into the cryptid or what, or
right.
a lot of other stuff, but yeah.
No idea.
It might just be like a general, I don't know. I'm not going to speak on it because I don't know.
Yeah. We definitely need to watch the Mothman Prophecies because a lot of the stuff we're talking about is tying into this movie that we have no idea about. So,
you know what movie we all got to watch? I haven't seen it in years, but you guys ever see the movie It Follows?
It's funny you say that. I was thinking that, they're coming out with It Follows too.
Ooh, that's going to be good. Have you seen It Follows?
It's one about like STDs, right?
Not exactly.
No,
if you sleep with somebody,
if you sleep with someone,
it's about STD.
it follows that person.
It follows that
and
person,
then if it kills that person, it goes back to the other person that they slept with to get rid of the monster.
Yeah.
But they say they're working on a second one.
Yeah, so it's not really like an STD, but I mean, it's transmitted like one.
Definitely what it was trying to hint at.
That's a horrible STD.
Yeah. That's pretty horrifying.
It was funded by condom companies. You didn't see the Durex ad at the end of it? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, how horrible
All
would
this
that be?
could have
man?
prevented if you just wore a Durex.
If you just
Dude, can you imagine, bro?
some good old fashioned sheepskin.
Now, imagine it's coming right at you. You're trying to get rid of the monster. You're clapping cheeks, but you're just too into the moment, and then it kills the person that you're doing it with, you know, and then it kills you right afterwards, bro. Like,
Well,
you're terrible.
should have wore a dental dam.
That's funny.
That's cool. Yeah, very creepy pasta-ish, man.
It is creepypasta-ish. But you know, the crazy thing about it is that it is a creepypasta, but at the same time, there are different stories about this. So who knows where it really came from.
Right.
Yeah. But that next one, though.
I actually did a lot of research this time, which I usually don't do. And this is a pretty popular case. A lot of, true crime buffs and, conspiracy theorists and da-da-da probably know about this one already, but this is the curious case of Elise Lam. You guys are familiar with Elise Lam?
Oh, yeah.
So Elise Lam, she was a 21-year-old college student / blogger. I think that was like her kind of like creative outlet, Tumblr and stuff like that. And she was attending the University of British Columbia. Although I think I read something that she wasn't enrolled for that year. Maybe she had yet to do it, or she was taking a break. But she essentially went on a solo trip to California, and she had a whole itinerary planned out. I'm not sure how much or where, but I know she went to San Diego, saw the zoo, had photos there, posted to social media. There's also reports saying that she was in Burbank, the city I went to high school in, and she attended the live taping of the Conan O'Brien show, and I was actually kicked out apparently because of outlandish behavior or something, erratic behavior or whatever.
She was acting like that.
Yeah, I couldn't find much on that, so that might have just been added for, a little more fluff on the story. But anyways, eventually she found herself to LA, Los Angeles, and she had booked herself a 3-day stay at, drumroll, the Cecil Hotel. For those that don't know about the Cecil Hotel, it was like a middle class hotel that was built, I believe, in the 20s or late 20s, early 30s, somewhere around that time. And it was really nice when it started. It had nice architecture and everything. But for those of you familiar with Skid Row, I believe it's just around the corner, or a street away from it. So, sure enough, as the homeless population in LA drove up, kind of declined the business in the area, and they were kind of forced to cater to a different people than they originally planned to. So the Cecil Hotel had a dark past. There was people who offed themselves in the Cecil Hotel, taking poison pills and stuff. There was, people getting offed by other people, and essays and stuff like that. It also housed a couple of serial unalivers, yeah. Two of that I know. One was Richard Ramirez in 84 and 85. He stayed there for, I think, a week or two, maybe.
Yeah, wow.
That's the Nightcrawler?
The Nightcrawler, yeah.
I thought it was the Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
The
Yeah,
Night Stalker. Nightcrawler's
the
a movie.
Yeah, with Jake
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal. I'm sorry.
Great movie.
I went with it because I wasn't trying to lose my train of thought.
No, yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's Night Stalker.
Yes.
And he fucking he's infamous. I believe he got charged with a total of 13, but probably more. This dude was sick, man. He was a home invasioner. He would, just drive around different cities. He was very meticulous. He'd steal cars. He got away with it for a long time, but break in, off the wife, off the husband, do some other unspeakable kind of things. Kids were even involved in some.
Oh,
So,
wow.
real sick person. So that was his home for a while. There was a report of, I think it said it was a group of teenagers outside the hotel, and then they didn't probably knew who it was at the time, but later discovered to be him. They saw a man like going basically to the trash area, taking off his clothes, stripping down to basically just his underwear, throwing the clothes in the dumpster, and walking up to his hotel room just in underwear. I mean, that's probably not really a rare thing to see in LA right now, especially since the fentanyl crisis has taken over. But I'm sure it still was a little off-putting,
Right.
The other guy was an Austrian guy, and this guy was pretty sick too. He was his name was Jack Unterberger. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he was a Austrian journalist, and he would report on stuff like crime and stuff like that. But he was committing the crimes that he was reporting on, and he had taken the lives of 3 ex-workers, while he was staying at the Cecil Hotel. Mm-hmm. So just a little history on that. So back to Elise Lam. This was about January 2013, and she had booked a 3-day stay there, and she was supposed to stay in like a shared room, which I didn't really know that was a thing, and especially in LA. Like, like in hostels in Europe, you would like probably have a bed with like 3 other people. So she was staying in a room like that, and according to a spokesperson for the hotel later on, they said that she was acting very disturbed and making them feel, uneasy.
The person staying with her.
The people, her roommates in the shared room that she was staying with.
Oh, roommates.
Yeah, like leaving them notes like go home, go away, and like locking the door and requesting that they you give her a password for her to let her in. So she was definitely having some kind of paranoid episode. It was later discovered after this that she did, her parents kept it a secret, but she was bipolar. I don't know if it said she was schizophrenic, but some of the details kind of like lean towards that. Mm-hmm. And she was on lots of medication, like antidepressant, Wellbutrin, a few other things I don't remember the names of. So she eventually she gets moved to a private room. Now she was very close with her parents. She would keep in contact with her parents every day. And they knew it when she was supposed to check out. It was 3 days from when she got there. I don't remember the exact dates. But essentially, they never get a call from her. So immediately, they're like, something's wrong. That's our daughter. This is how she communicates. She would have told us if she's leaving or, They file a police report. Police search the room. She's nowhere to be found. Parents fly out to LA, probably bring some like items of clothing with her scent on it, Mm-hmm. They do a search of the hotel. I want to say they check the lobby with dogs, the hallways, and the rooftop, and her room. And they couldn't find any sign of her. And then that goes on for a few weeks. They start posting flyers and all this kind of stuff on her. And all of a sudden, the hotel starts getting a lot of complaints from the guests. And the guests are complaining that there's low water pressure. And then others are complaining that it's discolored and it smells bad. Mm-hmm. It tastes like pennies. That's been like a little inside joke. Anyways. Yeah, so what happens is the maintenance worker actually gets up to the roof. Now they have 4 water tanks that are on these like 4x8 concrete slabs. And apparently you have to get a ladder to get up to the top. So he goes and he checks out what's wrong with the water. He says there's an emergency hatch, like left open. Looks down there and what does he see? Elise. Mm-hmm. Her clothes are removed, or she's naked, but her clothes were removed in the tank with her. And like I said, the hatch was left open. There was no ladder or anything to see how she got in there. And she's floating, and I believe her ID card or her room card and her watch were in there too as well. And she's been in there for a few weeks now, decomposing and stuff. So that explains why the water was like. But now everybody's wondering, how did she get in there? To access the roof through the hotel, there's locks and key codes and stuff like that, mm-hmm. which she probably wouldn't have any of those.
No.
Another report found that if there was easy access if she had gone through the fire escape. But still, it's like, did she just get up and find a ladder and it just disappeared and she just ended up in there? Oh, I forgot the most
the main part, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The best part.
I'm trying not to read the notes.
I was waiting for it.
So before she's discovered, a tape is released of her trying to enter an elevator. Now, the video that I saw is 2.5 minutes long. There are reports that this might have been altered. The timestamps don't add up, da-da-da-da-da. But nonetheless, it's a very eerie video. You can still find it. It's her. She gets into she slowly walks into an elevator, starts pressing buttons frantically. Doesn't look like she knows exactly where she wants to go. And then as she's doing it, the elevator's not closing. The elevator door is just wide open the whole time. She can see her press all the buttons and it's not moving. Walks outside, looks left, looks right, slowly creeps back in. She's walking backwards, forward. She's fidgeting. And then you see her creep out again out of the elevator, and it looks like she's having a conversation with somebody. And nobody's there. And then a lot of people are like, well, they probably edited people out because they don't want to release that footage of them being involved in this case with her to protect their security, you know. Someone could be like, oh, it's that person just because they talked to him, you know. But they definitely edited, well, I don't know if they definitely, but something's off because she looks like she's talking to somebody. She's moving her hands weird. She's acting erratic. She's walking weird. She's leaning to one side. She's just, you could tell something's off.
You know, to me, it looked like she was like doing some kind of key code. Like she figured out some way of like, because like she would randomly go up to the buttons. She would go out, like you said, look left, look right, go in, go out, and then she'd come out, wave her hands. And it looked like she was doing some kind of code or something, like some kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think that elevator had any weird hand gesture.
No, but it is weird. It is weird that the elevator didn't close at all, though. It just stayed open the whole time.
Yeah.
Whether she was in, out, whatever. Yeah, it just never closed.
And she clicked many buttons.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe she confused it. Maybe it's like an old one that doesn't work if you keep pressing buttons or something.
Well, it could, maybe it had like a door hold option. Maybe she clicked that. I know at our old job, it would stay open for 4 minutes if you hit that button.
So, right. I don't fully remember, but how did the video end again? Did it end with her in it? Because I remember I seen the doors close, but I don't remember if she was inside the elevator or if she was outside when it closed up.
I think she eventually leaves.
She walked out, right? And it closes.
If I remember correctly, I just watched it. The video, the elevator doesn't close.
Damn.
But yeah.
Huh.
So the question is, how did she get in there? What was she being? Maybe an employee was following her. Maybe he knew that there's a camera in there, so he didn't go in. Maybe she just had an episode, but that still doesn't explain how did she end up in the tank.
Yeah.
You know, she's from Vancouver. You know, she probably never stepped foot in that hotel, or you know, no ladder left by. Just weird. Which I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it has to be someone familiar with the spot. So I mean, you already said it. Like, there's a lot of serial unalivers that have been there before in the past.
Yeah,
it could have been one of them. Maybe they know the ins and out.
What I like about this story is how mysterious it actually is. I almost don't want to know what happened because of how crazy it is. Like, first of all, she had to jump the hoops to get the access to the roof. Then, like you said, there's no ladder or anything. So it's like, how did she get all the way up there?
Yeah.
And how did she get into the tank with her clothes still there, but they're not on her? They're just inside the tank.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what would he do? Like,
it's just
carry
mysterious.
her body and then throw it, and then go back and get the clothes and throw them in there too?
Yeah.
And all her belongings. They also couldn't find a scent for her on the roof either. So maybe she was carried. I don't know. Could have been a maintenance worker, but if not, you know, it still kind of plays into that. You know, was she having a schizophrenic episode, or was somebody actually after her? Was she going crazy? Was she seeing things? You know, I don't know. And then also, it's kind of hard to drown yourself, dude. That's like one of the things that's like, how long before you just like, okay, I can't do it. It sucks too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nothing was tied to her though.
What do you mean?
Right, nothing was like pulling her down, right?
Apparently, she was found floating.
Oh, she was floating. So she was probably already dead when she got thrown in there then.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
it's really weird.
If someone strangled her, they could have just thrown her there afterwards, and she decomposed enough to
I don't think there was any. They didn't say anything about any marks or anything on her. Oh, well.
Yeah, because it would have been.
But you're in the water. I mean, oh, no, you could still decompose a lot. Never mind.
Decompose a lot faster.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Could have been that. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's just crazy to think how she ended up there, and then dogs couldn't find a trace of her scent on the roof. So I don't know. The most logical thing is to think she was carried up there, and it had to have been somebody who worked there. But regardless, it was just funny that she was. Oh, and also they was like, oh, maybe she was high or something, or maybe she was drunk. She did have a small trace of alcohol in her system and low doses of her psychiatric medicine or
Yeah.
but no like recreational drug or whatever it was that couldn't be found in her system at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, rest in peace, Elise Lam. But yeah, that case is always kind of, it's been uneasy, and you never know.
It is a creepy one.
That's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be it. We're going to keep it short today.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to comment on? Oh, there was one case I wanted to mention. Do we have time, Sheila?
Yeah, mention it.
The Greyhound bus one. I forget the name of the guy.
Yeah.
Can you pull that up real quick, Sheila? The Greyhound bus. I know the accused, well, not the accused, the murderer. I'm just going to say it, whatever. His name was Vince L.I. And this was like a Greyhound bus. I want to say Canada.
What is the incident, or what do you call it?
Yeah, I say Greyhound bus, MURDER.
Oh, okay.
It'll pop up. But essentially, it was just two normal guys on the Greyhound bus. One guy's sitting down, the other. I think one was listening to music. The guy,
Yeah.
he's just probably minding his business. Nobody wants to be on a Greyhound, unless you like buses. I don't know.
Apparently, a Canadian guy, I'll say unheaded, a guy who was a passenger on a Greyhound bus.
What was his name? Jack. Oh, no.
A man with schizophrenia. What's his name? Will Baker, formerly known as Vince Wei-Guang Lee.
Well, that was the guy.
Yeah, he
was the victim.
Yeah, he unalived 22-year-old Tim McLean.
Tim McLean. That's right.
McLean. There you go.
So Tim's just sitting on the bus, right, trying to get to wherever he's going.
Yeah.
Good old Tim.
Vince, unprovoked, out of nowhere, according to the reports.
He said after hearing the thought was the voice of God. So he heard a thought in his head, and he thought it was the voice of God.
Vince Lee, here's the voice of God, and all it's saying is, take this man's head off.
That is wild.
It's very horrible.
Yeah.
So essentially, he gets up, he grabs a knife from wherever he had it, and he goes to work on Tim McLean, rest in peace. And bus driver notices it. The people start screaming. The bus pulls over. Everybody gets off, and Vince Lee just continues to do his work. First he was just penetrating him, and then eventually started doing a removal, as well as eating pieces of the meat.
See, I heard this story. I don't remember him eating pieces of them. And I also remember it being he followed him into the bathroom. I didn't know it was still on the bus. See, I'm hearing some of these stories a little differently.
Yeah.
That's wild.
This was in Canada, right?
Yeah, it was in Canada.
So Canada, eventually this guy, I think he just gave up. I don't know if he put up a fight with the police when they got there, but he got taken in. Mm-hmm. Guy had no remorse, and he felt completely justified and told him that God spoke to him and told him to take this guy out, that he was like a demon or something. Anyways, he gets proven not guilty due to mental illness. I guess.
Right.
Whatever the term is for it.
Yeah.
Gets put in a psychiatric therapy, and he has now been released, I think, as of 2017 with no restrictions at all. So this guy's out here again.
What?
Warrior of God. I don't know where he lives.
Warrior of God.
I guess he has a new name.
Yeah, Will Baker.
Will Baker is his name now.
That is insane.
Another reason why I never want to take a Greyhound bus again.
Well,
what year was this? 1990? Or is it, no, 2003?
It was in 2008.
8.
And he was released in 15, 17, you said?
I want to say 2017, but don't quote me. Sheila's got the stuff pulled up.
Jesus Christ. So he only spent like 9 years in psychiatric therapy or whatever it was called? Oh, my God.
Yeah, so he was released in 2017.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing.
Maybe 2016.
Are we all protected from this like outside realm that people who talk to spirits or whatever? This guy didn't feel any remorse. You'd think maybe after he came down, calmed down or whatever. No, he felt completely justified.
It just sounds like religious psychosis to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's insane. That was another one I wanted to talk about. It was between that one and the Elise story, but this one had a little more juice to it.
I feel like people resonate with the Elise one a little bit better too, because I feel like it was a little bit more well known.
Mm-hmm.
It's well known and it has that mystery because you can't explain it because there's so many pieces missing.
Well, with them, yeah, you knew everything. Yeah.
All right, moral of the story, don't go to L.A. and don't ride the Greyhound bus. And don't try to summon something that you don't want to show up. Because he'll show up. What was his name? King Reginald?
King Reginald.
The guy they created?
Philip Aylesbury?
No, Philip Ellsberg.
King Philip
Reginald. Where did he come up with?
I don't know, dude.
Something speaking of him, dude.
For real, dude.
I knew it was a funny name like that. And I've been watching The Honeymooners with
Vince Vaughn.
No, The Honeymooners.
No,
the original one. Jackie Gleason.
I don't know that.
But Jackie
That's
Gleason had another character known as Reginald Van Gleason. I don't know.
Never seen it.
All right, send us out, base.
Thank you for tuning in to the new Horror Boys podcast with your co-hosts, me, Bass, Chile, and Polly Boy. Or Paul, as everyone calls him. He don't like it. He called Paul. So flood the comments with Paul.
It's a persona, guys.
His name is Paulie. All right? All right, now we love you guys. If you are watching this, all 5 of you, you guys are the best. Thank you for sticking with us. And yeah, any guys got to sign out with anything?
That's it. You got
See you on the next one.
see you on the next one. Peace. Peace.